But we could be alone between city lights. We don't have to hide. I wanna go, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? I can't understand why we can't hold hands, but they don't know what we have is real love. Aren't you sick and tired of having to hide? I know a place, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow?
Welcome, everybody, to the live stream. I'm very happy to be here with you guys on a Sunday afternoon talking about FPV. Answering your questions, hanging out, just having a good old time. Mookie FPV, good to see you in the chat, dude. There was the second global qualifier in Knoxville, the GQ. Knoxville, for such a small city, has an extremely active racing scene with one of at least maybe two of the fastest racers in the world out there. I'm thinking of course, Evan Turner, heads up FPV, and we got to acknowledge Alex Campbell, chief, who got onto DRL, which is no slouch. Quite a few other fast guys. Josh Grau came out. He's not from Knoxville. He's from West Tennessee. Josh Grau, another guy who's super fast and up and coming. As hard as he's working, I think you're going to hear his name soon. Anyway, we had another GQ, and I wasn't there. I went to a GQ. I put in my time, and then ever since then, I didn't practice at all, and I didn't get any better. I was busy doing other things, and so then they were like, "Hey, we're doing another GQ," and I was like, "Yeah, no, I'm good." I actually, I don't know if I should tell you this, but the other reason I didn't come is because by the time I found out that the GQ was happening, I had already made a date with my wife, and we had it was really, really radical. We did something really crazy. You know what we do when we get crazy? We get a babysitter. Yep, we got a babysitter, and we got to we got to watch a movie without someone going, "Mom, Mom," every 5 minutes, which was you kids think you've lived with your going to Ibiza and listening to DJs and dancing till sunrise, but you really haven't lived until you've spent 10 years not being able to watch a movie without someone shouting at you. And then you get a babysitter. And you get to just quietly watch a movie. I mean, we talked a little bit about the movie. It was so luxurious. Blunty, I just realized I'm in the wrong channel and you're not getting any of the Discord messages because I did the thing I do where I click to the wrong channel to check something real quick and forget that when I do that it breaks. Hang on, let me fix that for you, Blunty. How you doing, Blunty?
Good. How's it going?
Going good, going good. We're going to, there we go. Blunty. Yes, thank you, Blunty. He said 2 minutes ago Discord isn't being picked up. That's my fault. I apologize for that. As usual, all of the problems with the live stream are my fault. If I was my own employee, I'd be real mad at me a lot of the time. But since I'm, let's be honest, I'm still mad at me for all of my mistakes. But I can't fire myself. I think about that. We'll think about that for a while. We are going to be taking your questions. Amplified Car Audio says, my wife gets a kick out of your dance moves at the beginning of the stream. Yeah, I mean, like, I just feel like, woo. And then I realized there was a comedian I saw recently who was like, white girl dance moves are all like, praise the sky. And I was like, oh my God, I'm doing that. So I'm a white girl. There you go. I'll be taking your questions. Ooh, that's a good one. I like that question. I'm queuing that one up, Blunty. I'm taking your job. We are going to be taking your questions here. Blunty is going to be reading the chat and acting as call screener. He is going to be queuing them up. I got a screen over here with the queue of messages that I'm going to be getting to. We are going to be taking messages from the regular chat. The YouTube chat where all the plebs hang out. We will definitely be paying attention to these beautiful folks on the right side of my screen. This is my Discord server, and these people over here are my patrons. And if you want to get in there, you got to be one of my patrons. And we pay a little extra attention to them. And of course, if you want to, you can hit the $sign down here. The only way to be 100% sure that I get your question on stream. If you really want to hear me read your message, leave a super chat. Costs a couple bucks, and we'll be reading those a little later in the stream. But let's get started. Jared Whitecotton. By the way, Jared Whitecotton. That's an unusual last name, Jared. Sorry, I'm sure you probably are tired of people commenting on your name. That's a White Cotton. I've never heard that name before. That's pretty interesting. I emailed a question. How cool would it be if he answered it on stream? Well, Jared, that depends. I'm going to go look at your question, and I will decide if I want to answer it on stream. Jared, I have a question from Jared Hochman. There we go. Jared with an O. Okay, let's see here. Jared Whitecotton. I guess I can't show your question on stream because I don't want to, dox your email address. I don't know. Isn't even that big of a deal. I'll tell you what. Here's what we'll do. Well, let's just scroll it out of the way. Jared's question is, hello, Mr. Bardwell. Mr. Bardwell's my father. Oh, God. I've been watching your videos for a little over a year now, and it's safe to say I have the FPV bug. After a year of watching your videos and trying to get a grasp on the basics of FPV, I finally decided to pull the trigger and start building a 5-inch freestyle. I have followed your 2022 build series almost exactly, but when I first started getting equipment, I ordered a transmitter first because I wanted to get sim hours. I went back and forth on what transmitter I should get and ended up landing on a Master Zorro. Good choice, since that happened to be the ones you covered and also used in the build series. I ended up getting a 4-in-1, and now I'm having problems trying to load Lua scripts for ELRS because I got the 4-in-1. That is correct. The ELRS Lua script won't work unless you have an ELRS module. You have a 4-in-1. Is there something I'm missing that will let me set up ELRS with the Happy model? Yes. Okay, so Jared, very easy. You want this. Get yourself... Nope, sorry. Hang on. That's not right. You want... Oh, mother... Son of a... This one. You want this one. The Ranger Nano. What's the combo? Oh, get the combo if you want receivers. You want the Ranger Nano module. It will plug into the back of the Zorro and let you do Express LRS. Okay? That's all you need. Okay? That's fine. Yes, you do. You can't enable Express LRS on a radio that doesn't have the hardware for it. Okay, so I'm going to just quick... oh, God, now I've doxed your email address. Well, what are you going to do? It's better than your real address. Hey there, Jared. Yes, you do need the ELRS Nano module. The Radio Master Ranger Nano module. It will plug into the back of your radio on the expansion bay. Yeah, there we go. Now I can delete that question from my inbox, knowing that I answered it, and get on with my life. That's what we do here, folks. We just take your questions and answer them. Oh, here's a question from Mike Bergman. Good to see you again, Mike. Mike is one of the top commenters on my YouTube channel. Get a life, Mike. Jeez. No, thank you. Do you remember if you could run ProShot on the firmware that came installed on your APD ESCs? For those who don't know, APD, Advanced Power Design, they make Cinelifter. Mostly Cinelifters are what use APD ESCs. They're very big, 8S, 12S, 120 amp, very, very expensive ESCs. Did you even have to mess with the firmware on yours? Mike, I did not mess with the firmware on mine. APD ESCs are generally, they come from the factory with the firmware you need. It's not like BL Heli where you're going to be effing around with them. One of the reasons you pay so much for APD ESCs is that APD has designed the firmware to work well. And when you've got an expensive Cinelifter in the air, you don't want to be like risking a desync. I don't know. It's like you're paying for trustworthiness. And so there are times when someone will say, hey, you got to update the firmware on your ESC, but generally you don't want to mess with the APD ESCs. I couldn't say whether they support ProShot 1000 because I have never in my life run ProShot, and I'm kind of curious why you think you want to run ProShot 1000 instead of running DShot like everybody else in the gosh dang world. Like, what's your motivation, Mike, to run ProShot? Blunty's going to keep an eye on the chat and see if Mike answers. And in the meantime, I'm going to get on with the chat. And that's one of the gosh dang ways Blunty makes this stream better. Thank you, Blunty. Thank you for all you do.
No problem.
Yeah. The two heads are better than one. Clive FPV says, my APD 80 amps do support ProShot. So, okay, there's something. But I still want to know why the hell you want to run ProShot. What's your motivation there? Sounds like I'm going to be argumentative. I'm just curious. It is interesting sometimes how my curious voice is seen as argumentative. Mike, oh, Mike. I really... Mike, I was hoping you were going to go, well, actually, there's a good reason. I'm running because... And then I was going to learn something about ProShot. But it turns out 1000 is bigger than 600, so it's automatically cooler. Mike, you're better than that, Mike. Don't fall for the bigger number better. Stick to D-Shot, Mike. D-Shot's fine. I do appreciate the honesty, Mike. It's true. ProShot 1000... I don't even remember. I don't even care. ProShot is... I think ProShot is pretty... Does Betaflight... It doesn't even support ProShot anymore. Anyway. Blunty is letting us know that there is a crazy storm and he might drop out. So if Blunty disappears, I will have to run the chat myself. All right. Hang in there, Blunty. If you do lose internet connection, make sure you tell me when you lose it. No. Can the Pavo Pico O3 antennas be used on regular quads without drawbacks? Yeah, 100%. In fact, let me show you what he's talking about there. What he's talking about is the Pavo Pico. I actually have a review for the Pavo Pico in the editing process. It's coming. And what Betaflight does with the Pavo Pico is very clever. Hang on. Where's the O3 version? Give me the O3 version. Yeah. That's not the O3. I want to see the O3 version, but you've got restock soon on top of it, which means I can't effing see the picture. You guys frustrate the shit out of me sometimes with your web pages. I'm going to just start saying woosah. Serenity now. Serenity now! Plenty. Some people say that if you're angry and stressed all the time, that there are herbal solutions to that. As a person with a background in that, what do you think? You think it would help me be a calmer, less stressed person? Give me your honest answer.
No.
Why do you say that?
Because I don't think that's true. I think that's the BS garbage.
No? I mean, if I drink alcohol, I have in my life smoked cannabis, but not in a long time. But if I drink alcohol, like it changes my affect and my mood, at least for the next, say, hour and a half. But it doesn't really change like who I am as a person.
Right.
2, 3, 4, 6, 12 hours later, I'm still. So there certainly are people who just smoke cannabis all day, every day.
Yeah, I don't think it changes your relative level of dealing with stuff.
No?
No.
Interesting.
I've known way too many angry hippies. That's for sure.
That's the thing. Hold on. We'll talk about these antennas in a second. I know what you're talking about. Like the hippies, they're angry and they smoke pot. And then, I knew a guy and he was an all-day, everyday smoker. And one day he decided he was going to clean his act up and he stopped smoking. And then he went through like 2 weeks of withdrawal. And when he settled on the new normal without smoking, he was so much more angry. I don't know. Is that an argument that he was actually successfully mediating his mood? I mean, he was angry.
Here's what I'll say. I think it's possible. It might help, but I don't think there's any I don't think it's like saying you can take this Xanax and have less anxiety, because that's accurate. Let's forget about the other effects and issues. But I don't think you can say take this pot and you'll be happier or you'll be more relaxed. I don't think that's the case. That's what I would say. I think that's the case with more pharmaceutical things, but I think there's 130 cannabinoids or something we've identified, and it's just too different for each people. Just as an example.
Yeah,
I'll
go
give
ahead.
you an example.
Okay.
We did for people who don't know, I ran a cannabis grow, and I thought it would be fun to give samples to the growers and the employees and make them fill out a form. So I gave them 4 grams, a gram of each of 4 strains, and I made them fill out forms, but they didn't know which grams they got and what the strains were.
Yeah, okay.
And none of them knew if they got the same grams or different grams or what was in them or whatever. You could have thrown darts at a board and gotten the same results as my responses got.
Because
nobody agreed on therapeutic effect, feeling, energy, anxiety, none.
Oh, he's dropping out. There goes the storm. Right as it was getting interesting. Oh my God, did we just lose him? Oh, damn it. I keep waiting for him to come back. He's going to talk for 2 minutes before he realizes he's gone. All right, well, when he comes back, I will let you know. And in the meantime, we will go back to the answering the question. oh man. Okay. Let's go back to answering the question until he gets back. The Pavo Pico puts these little whip antennas, or what I would call them, instead of the antennas that come with the O3. This is 100% fine. These are valid 5.8 gigahertz antennas. They are not circular polarized. That is one reason why people sometimes don't use them with FPV gear. But circular polarized, the O3 antennas are linear polarized to begin with. He says, I'm on my phone. Modem is resetting. Are you back, Blunty? Are you in the call? He is not in the call yet. This actually doesn't hurt performance as much as you would think because the O3 system already uses linear antennas. Now, in some cases, these antennas will perform worse, but yes, you 100% can. And in fact, they show this. Look, here's Walk Snail with a little whip antenna. Excuse me. And here's the Vista with a little whip antenna. If you want to save weight, you totally can run a whip antenna like this on your DJI VTX. Oh my God, I have the hiccups. That's the worst. Sub or Gulag, the O3 has a linear antenna. That is correct. And some people, Mo says this. There's another person who's been chatting me on Discord who says that they got better results with the little whip antennas than they did with the stock antenna, which kind of shocks me. But that's what 2 people now have said. So go figure. Thankfully, Blunty has queued up a shitload of questions. So hopefully by the time he gets back in the call, I'm going to have to make sure that I'm queuing super chats, though, in case any super chats come in. In fact, let's it's 20 minutes into the stream. Let's take a minute and do a super chat roundup. Here we go. Mike Bundy, thank you for a $20, very generous $20 super chat. To not talk about remote ID. Okay, well, I haven't, and I don't plan to. For those of you who don't know, the way that the Super Chats is going to work is I'm going to keep doing Super Chats as long as the Super Chats come in. And then when we clear the queue of Super Chats, we will go back to answering questions from the non-Super Chats. Andrew K says, thank you for a $5 Super Chat, Andrew K. I have a GEP-RC Bind and Fly Mark V with Betaflight 4.3. Added a GPS, want to upgrade to 4.4 for better rescue. Will I lose the stock tune? Yes, you will. I would think hard about whether that's the right thing to do. 4.4 does have a little better GPS rescue. Oh, I think he's back. Blunty, are you back?
I have returned.
Okay, 1 second. We'll let you finish that thought because I know people want to hear it. There are some issues with 4.4, then there are reasons why Bind and Fly manufacturers are not shipping 4.4 yet, even though it does have better GPS rescue. I would strongly advise you, if you try it out, go for it, but save your config dump. Do a full config dump in the CLI and save that so that if you have to roll back to 4.3, you can easily restore your config. Okay, we'll pause the Super Chat roundup. Blunty, you were saying the effect. People were very interested to hear what you were about to say. The effect was completely inconsistent. Go ahead. You want to sort of rewind to a stopping point and then start again?
Yeah. So just to be clear, essentially, I gave everybody samples. I think I said I gave a gram to each person, 4 grams to each person, a gram of 4 different strains.
The chat was very impressed with you giving 4 grams to your employees and said they wanted to work for you.
Oh, you guys have no idea. I don't fuck around with that kind of stuff.
For the record, this was legal in your state.
100%.
Just so the YouTube overlords know that we're not criminals like that degenerate bot grinder. I'm joking. Go ahead.
All right. So basically, I gave them a sheet. So the sheet was like 15 or 20 questions, and it was all like, how does this therapeutically make you feel? Did you have any ailments, and did it feel like they cured them, and like all those kind of things, and then rate the sleepiness on 1 to 5, and rate anxiety relief on 1 to 5, and like all those kind of things. And it literally was like you're throwing a dart at the board. I mean, none of them matched up. There was no correlation. Now this was across 30 employees.
Wow.
So maybe that's not enough for the scientificness of it, or maybe
that's
I didn't do it.
almost enough to be scientifically relevant.
Maybe I didn't do it quite right, or maybe, you know, I don't know. I can't tell you for sure. But yeah, I mean, to me, it's got to be all personal. It's got to be like, it's how it affects you and what it's going to do to you. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like a lot of, like, for instance, I feel like a lot of the pain relief isn't necessarily CB1 and CB2 receptors changing the pain intake. Maybe it is a little bit. Maybe some people can speak to that. But I bet more of it is taking your mind off of the pain and the general feeling of those sorts of things, right?
There's no question that, I mean, this is not a scientific statement or a medical statement, just a personal one. There's no question that the amount of attention you have to focus on pain or discomfort significantly affects your perception of it. That if you are engaged and distracted, you can forget your pain. Like, so I totally buy that as a possibility. Yeah, that's interesting though. So you would say the whole, you know, like you go into a dispensary and the guy's like, if you have anxiety, get this one. If you want to sleep, get this one. And you think that's all way too unpredictable in your experience. I
do. In fact, you know, we were afraid at our dispensaries whether we wanted to do that or not, because you're giving medical advice essentially. So
sure.
What we did was essentially used the Leafly guide to the strain and use that as our backup. So essentially we would go by a website and this, you know, basically this set of documentation recommends it for these things.
Right.
And that's the best we can do essentially. But what I found was he would just recommend something. The customer would come back in the next week and go, nope, that didn't work for me. And then you try the next thing and you hit about 5 pieces of the spectrum, but essentially you find what that person needs for what they're trying to do.
Yeah, interesting. I wonder, it's really curious. Now we're just shooting the shit about cannabis, but okay, this is our new podcast for one episode. I wonder if, like, as cannabis becomes more socially acceptable and legalized and experimented on, you got all these cannabinoids in here. And one of the things that medical science does is extract individual substances, try to quantify their effect, and then turn them into a drug that they can sell, which of course, but I wonder if, and maybe there's already research being done on this, specific cannabinoids that have specific effects that can then be reproducibly dosed, instead of having a strain that you grow and then there's a million cannabinoids and maybe it's kind of mostly reproducible but not as predictable. I don't know.
Yeah, I believe there's both a THC-based one and a CBD-based one that are primarily used for seizure relief. I can't remember the name of them, but they're drug companies that have already patented. It's like Epidiolex or something like that, and like another one. But yeah, there are companies who are doing that with the bigger ones. But I expect we'll find a lot more about smaller ones or interesting like changes or anything like that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it'd be like, I mean, you've got morphine and you've got, you know, fentanyl, and then it would be like if you were just using sort of opium poppies and opium tea, and like, you know, there's pros and cons to both sides. I guess. I wonder.
I think that's a good analogy.
In 30 years, will we see cannabinoids in a similar way that we have, like, opiates extracted and isolated and synthesized? It's very interesting.
Yes. I think the answer is probably yes, just because that's where everything's
sort
of headed.
Oh, that's too bad. I saw somebody in the chat say cannabis lowers blood pressure. Now somebody said it doesn't.
It tends to lower blood pressure and lower blood sugar, but in the short term. So like immediate. Like you take it and immediately within 30 minutes, you tend to see a little drop in blood sugar and a little drop in blood pressor. But I don't believe there's any long-term change in blood pressure or blood sugar.
So I got to keep taking my lisinopril. Damn. Alrighty, well, thank you for that, Blunty. That is going to be a really, really great clip for the Livestream Clips channel. If you guys don't know, we have the Joshua Bardwell Livestream Clips channel. Go search it on YouTube if you're not already a subscriber, and we take all of the best little bits of the live streams that you might have missed, or you might not. What was that live stream where Bardwell and Blunty talked about cannabis for like 20 minutes? I can't remember. Head on over to Joshua Bardwell Livestream Clips. It's a separate channel. Subscribe over there, and you get the best of the live streams. Cool. All right, let's go back to the super chats. No, not there. No, here. Continuing the super chats, Zenny says, I have purchased custom lenses for my V2 goggles, and yet at the very edges of the screen it's still blurry. I am annoyed I can't get the picture perfect. Zenny, thank you for your $20 super chat. I wish for $20 I could give you a better answer. The solution is going to be to shrink the screen. The very large screen of the V2 goggles means that for some people you're not going to get crisp edge to edge. It just depends on your eye placement and your head size, and unfortunately, if you're one of those people who can't get it edge to edge crisp, the only solution, I mean, in theory, I suppose you could get a lens manufactured that shrinks the screen. Like, that's got to be a thing someone could do. But realistically, the product solution is there's a scaling option for the screen, and you just scale the screen down to 90%, and then you're good. I mean, that's probably not the answer you were hoping for, but unfortunately, I think that is the actual realistic answer. Twidget asks, is the MPU 6000 still getting discontinued? Thank you for a $5 super chat. Twidget, the MPU 6000 has been end of life from its manufacturer for as long as I've been in FPV. What that means is that their official stance is that no one should make new designs with this because they might not have enough to finish their product life cycle. The thing is, though, manufacturers will usually mark a product end of life significantly before they actually stop manufacturing it, because the idea is they end of life it today. Every product that uses it today still needs to maybe have a realistic life cycle where the manufacturer doesn't get screwed over by the fact that this gyro is not available anymore. So then they keep manufacturing it, but they say it's end of life, no new products, and then eventually they stop making it. The MPU 6000 has been end of life for, I mean, I'm not 100% sure, but literally as long as I've been in FPV, so like 7 years, 8 years. 2017
is when I saw when I was looking up dates.
Okay, so not quite as long as I've been in FPV. Pretty close, though. And eventually, perhaps they'll stop making it, but perhaps they're just marked at end of life so they can stop making it whenever they want. But also, as long as it's selling, maybe they're going to keep effing making it. We just don't know.
Just to be clear, there's the term they use called NRND, which is not recommended for new design, and that's the state it's been in for like 7 or 8 years now. So yeah.
So they may stop making it at any point, but they also might just keep making it. That's the status. By the way, if they do stop making it, the BMI 270 is fine. The BMI 270 is fine. Chris Rosser tested them. Don't tell me, well, he only tested them on the bench, but one of them flies far more buttery. The MPU 6000 flies like Irish cream on salted butter, but the BMI 270, why that flies, shut up. He tested them on the bench. The frequency, the spec sheet says they're basically the same. The test on the bench shows that they're basically the same. They're basically the same. So BMI 270 is fine. And anybody who says it's a feel thing, Steve Tricks, I'm looking at you. Blind test. Stop making unsubstantiated claims about unquantifiable stuff without testing to back it up. If you think you can feel the difference between a BMI 270 and an MPU 6000, I want you to build 4 identical quadcopters, 2 of them with a BMI and 2 of them with the MPU. Put the exact same config, the exact same PID tune on them. The only difference between them will be the gyro, and then fly them blind, and you see if you can get a statistically significant number of guesses correct. And if you do, I will eat my words with a smile, because I have no problem accepting claims that are backed by evidence, even if those claims disagree with my preconceived notions. In fact, I enjoy that, mostly. But I'm tired of people making claims like, oh, I can feel the difference between X and Y, and I don't believe you, and no one actually takes the time, almost no one takes the time to actually frickin' test it. They just say it. And then they just like, oh, yeah. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. Kudos to the rare people who actually do testing to validate this stuff. Little rant over. Kevin James, thanks for a $5 super chat. Do you think anyone will do a review on the Foxeer 5G8 Reaper 5-watt VTX? I'm curious how far a glider could go with it. Kevin, it's very difficult to do tests of high-powered VTXs because it's very difficult in most parts of the world to legally do long-range flights. Wesley Vardy was doing some of them. He got dinged by the CASA, and he had to take all his videos down because he was concerned that if he didn't do that, then they might go harder on them. I'm not going to say more about his case because I think at this point he is hoping that if he just flies under the radar and is a good boy, that he will not hear from them anymore. And we should all, respect that decision of his, because if they decided to F him over, they could fine him potentially a lot of money, and that would be bad. So somewhere out there, someone's going to take that 5-watt VTX and they're going to fly it line of sight to the edge of its range. And that's going to be 60 kilometers or something stupid, depending on what antenna they choose. And then who's going to do that? Where are they going to do that? Where is that going to be legal? Very few people are going to do that. I'm not going to do that. When I fly at my house, some people say, I wonder if Bardwell actually has a spotter. And some people say, I wonder if Bardwell actually maintains line of sight everywhere he flies, or does he sometimes not have line of sight? And I say, I have no comment about that. If you work for the FAA and you think I'm breaking the rules, you get in touch with me. And that's all I say. But if I put up a video with a long-range flight testing a 5-watt video transmitter, it would be very difficult to have any plausible deniability at all about whether I was breaking the rules, and that's why I'm not going to do that. What I'm saying is, my official stance is I always follow the rules, and if you think I'm not following the rules, then at least I want plausible deniability, and I can't get any of that with a long-range flight, so it's just not going to happen. Swift69, thank you for a $5 super chat. My 3.5-inch flies perfect except when I drop throttle all the way, it yaws and tilts one way until I give it a little throttle. You have air mode turned off. Like, if this is not the answer, then I'm shocked. You have air mode turned off is almost certainly the problem. Give me a flight controller so I can demo this for you. I cleaned up my desk and I put away the flight controller that always sits on my desk, and now I can't find what I need to find. This is why you should never clean and put things away, kids. You'll never be able to find what you need ever again. Oh, by the way, what's this? What's this in my hand? Oh, hang on. I'll tell you about that in a second. Air mode. Go to configuration tab. Go down here and make sure air mode is turned on all the time. That's my recommendation. My guess is that you have that turned off. Oh, right. What's this? I'll give you a hint what this is. Let me give you a hint. One second. One second. I have to stage this. It looks correct. Oh. What's this? Oh. It's right. I'm working on a new version of the budget build for 2023, and it's got the new QAVS in it. The new frame. I'm not going to tell you the date that they told me when this would be in stores, because then if it's late, I'll feel even more like a schmuck than I have for the last months, being like, oh, it's coming soon. It's not here yet. But I have a date, and it's close enough that I'm actually working on, look here, QAVS V2 review. I have already recorded the review for the QAVS V2, the updated version of my frame, and that should tell you approximately how close it is to being in stores. And I'm working on the new budget build. It's coming, folks. It's coming. So I'm very excited to be able to tell you that. Captain Bry, the expressless receiver is bound. My controller's just off. Why don't you fix the... Hey, instead of you poking at me on live streams, why don't you go get to work and fix those problems that I told you about yesterday that you told me weren't really your fault? But I got a few feature requests if you got time on your hand there, Captain Bry. If you got enough time to be in my live stream chat complaining about me, I got some feature requests that you could be working on. North 49 wants to know, what is the budget build? Good question. It is this. So what this is, thank you, Plenty, for flagging that. Gives me an opportunity to plug my own product. God forbid I should ever do that. It is basically, you get this kit from GetFPV. And the kit comes with everything you need. Come on, show me the kit. There we go. It comes with everything you need to build an FPV drone, a 5-inch freestyle drone. And then, where's the... Do I not, like, just open it up and show all the stuff? Here we go. Everything you need to build an FPV drone. No, that's the frame. Okay, I guess I didn't show it all. And I take you through the whole process, step by step, in a playlist. And I show you everything you need to do from step 1 to the final flight to build a freestyle drone. So the idea is, and it's called a budget build, but these days it's for what you get, it's a good price, but it's not as budgety as it was 3 years ago because inflation or whatever. But the idea is that there's so much to learn when you build a quadcopter that, like, how do you learn everything you need to learn? If you're going all over the internet trying to find the information, it can be really inefficient. And so instead of trying to give you all the background information, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take you from step 0 to the final step, hand-holding you the whole way, and you're just going to learn it all, and at the end you're going to have a quadcopter you can fly. So that's going to be available from GetFPV. This is the this is out of stock. It's discontinued. This is the 2022 kit. The 2023 is coming. Hello? No? You're not gonna let me... You're not gonna... Oh, GetFPV. No, that's the 2021 kit. Anyway, you can buy it from GetFPV. You guys can't see my screen. What am I doing? Yeah, you can pick up the... This is the 2023, 2022 kit. There's a newer one. It's also discontinued because the 2023 is coming. That's what that is. Continuing the super chats. We have so many super chats have come in. I'm going to try and get through them before we get back to the regular stream. If you do want to see your question answered in the next little bit, it's best to leave a super chat. Which digital system is at best at the moment if you buy new? Thank you for €5, Bjorn L. This is always a tough question. Assuming budget's no object, because you didn't mention budget as an object. Actually, frankly, the digital systems are not that different in price. The O3 is significant, is a fair bit more for the camera and the VTX. The goggles are kind of the same, roughly within. The goggles are within $100 to $150 of each other mostly, which is not nothing, but is, over the 3 or 4 or maybe more years you're going to own it, that's probably not what should make your decision. It's like one VTX's worth, right? How many VTXs are you going to buy in 3 or 4 or 5 years? The O3 has the best specs. It has 1080p resolution. It has the best range and penetration. The O3, in terms of just pure video performance, is hands down the best. That's really, I don't think it's debatable. Walk Snail is arguably the best all round. And what I mean by that is Walksnail has a good video transmitter for larger quads. It has a good low light camera. If you want low light, like works really well, even down to almost complete darkness. It's not a true infrared night vision camera, but very, very good low light camera. Walksnail has a 1S video transmitter for use on tiny whoops. That's pretty decent. Walksnail is pretty good community integration, responding to feature requests. There are complaints about Walksnail too. I'm not trying to paint them, as perfect. There are some bugs that they haven't fixed. There are some features that people have asked for that they haven't implemented. And their overall performance, just in terms of pure image quality, range, and penetration, is not where people kind of wish it was. But overall, they're like a 7 out of 10 across the board. And DJI is like a 10 out of 10 when it comes to range, penetration, and resolution. But then when it comes to community engagement and actually taking care of their customers and not effing them over with incompatible firmware upgrades and nonsense, maybe they're like a 4 out of 10. So Walksnail's kind of like a B plus across the board, right? A B minus maybe, depending on your priorities across the board. I've even heard rumors that Walksnail is working on a fixed latency mode for racing. I probably am not supposed to tell you that, but I've heard rumors. Wouldn't that be interesting? So some people would say pick Walksnail. HD0, the main reason to choose HD0 is if you care the most about smooth frame rate and low latency. Racers, if all you do is race, or if you're going to buy a separate system for racing, HD0 is the one to get. No question. There you go. That's my take. Will the budget build come with remote ID? Paulie Shortcuts. Paulie, I will be making a video showing how, if you want to, you can put remote ID on the budget build. But it will not, by default, come with a remote ID module. It will be up to you to buy a remote ID module and to choose to put that on. Since it is a self-built drone, it is not required to come with remote ID from the factory, and we would certainly not impose that on you. Let's see. Oh, I'm out of order here. Fortune Cookie, thank you for a $10 super chat. Love the Flywheel review. Any chance we can see some love for the Odonata? Probably. Eventually, I really liked flying those guys. It made me think I should fly the Odonata, which everybody loves. But now there's so much pressure. Bardwell's going to review the Odonata. If I don't do a good job on the review, and then, God forbid, if I don't love it, I will get so much shit, and that kind of makes me hesitate. So I don't know. We got this question from Bjorn. The truth, the way I see it. Thanks for a $2 super chat from the all-seeing eye. Blunty. I can't find the rest of this message. Is there more, Blunty? I can't search for the all-seeing eye as a username either.
It should be the truth, right?
Oh, the truth is... Oh, that's the username. There's no... I see.
But I think you just submitted another super chat for $10 a little farther down there.
Analog is the way to go, he says. Oh, here we go. I got it. What is the best receiver to use with Radio Master Zorro 4-in-1, and what all ones work with it? I have the Ranger as well. Just can't figure it out. Finally got a computer again. To use with a 4-in-1... Oops. Thank you, Plenty. To use with a 4-in-1, I mean, I probably would use the RXSR from FreeSky. It'll work with FreeSky, D16 and D8, but not ACCST receivers. It'll work with FlySky, any modern FlySky receiver. It'll work with Spectrum, although I wouldn't recommend it. I would probably use the RXSR if you have a 4-in-1. That would be my choice. Continuing the super chats. We've had a ton of super chats come in. I am going to try to get through them. Here we go. Parkour Guy says, thank you, Parkour Guy, for a $5 super chat. Oh, I see those pinned comments, Blunty. I'll get those in just a second. Don't unpin them. I just installed an Express LRS receiver to my Easy Pilot Pro. It binds and I get the right stick inputs. When I arm full throttle, it jumps and disarms itself. Okay, so Parkour Guy, the issue here, it's one of 4 things, and I have a copy pasta for it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the copy pasta. Ready? 1 second. This is the copy pasta for that. Here is how to troubleshoot this issue. I'm going to turn my camera off, and I'm going to let you screen grab this or pause it. What you're describing is one of these 4 things, and here's the reason I'm not just reading you the answer. You need to check exactly as I describe here each of these things. A lot of times people say, oh yeah, I checked those things, and that's not it. But they're not checking it correctly, so I've worded this as carefully as I can. So what I want you to do is just pretend you're a robot and do exactly what this says without any sort of creative thinking or initiative, and check each of these 4 things exactly as shown. Okay, this one is a little bit freeform, but that's what you need to do. Catman says, is racing really only 2% of the hobby? I don't know, Catman, but that wouldn't surprise me if relatively few people race. I mean, racing, people who race are passionate about it, but a lot of people just want to fly around. I don't know how we would know the answer. Eric Ashner wants to know, what % of racers have gone to digital now? At my field, all but 1 are still flying analog. Blunty, do you know if, like, from MultiGP, from IO or something, if there's any stats anybody has published about that?
We talked about them a while back, but I'm not sure what they are offhand. There's a couple polls from different races, but I'm not sure the last one we looked at or which one would be the best to look at currently.
Yeah, okay. Do you like remember a number for % of digital at all?
No.
You just said you didn't. MultiGP Nationals survey. Let's see if I can find this survey. That's 2018, 2017. No, MultiGP, please. Nationals survey. If anybody has a link to the survey, put it in the chat if you can. They may not be able to because of the spam filters. I think less than half are digital for sure. Here in Knoxville at the GQ, there was only like 1 or 2 people. Like, I know Josh Grau was flying digital. I can't remember. I think Evan Turner's dad, was flying HD0. Fortune HD0 is digital. There's no debate. I don't think there's any debate about that. HD0 is not analog, it's digital. Now there are ways in which it's similar to analog, but it is absolutely a digital transmission system, no question. Okay. Continuing the super chats. Is HD0 better for cross-channel interference than analog? Thank you for a $10 super chat, Keith Moore. Do analog channels interfere with HD0? Yes. So analog and HD0 both interfere. As far as what's better, is it better for cross-channel interference? I don't know about that. Like with HD0, can you run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8? I'm not sure I know of many, if any, events where there were enough HD0 pilots to really test that. Like at International Open, did they run an HD0 heat with like 6 HD0 pilots in the air? I couldn't say whether it's better, but I can tell you that analog definitely interferes with HD0 and vice versa. Rich Cordova, thank you for a $5 super chat. Let's just double check and make sure that Rich Cordova wants to know, supported drivers for DJI 03 and Windows 11, need for activation, but DJI drivers will not install. Rich, I don't know if there is a specific issue with Windows 11 and the DJI Assistant, but the DJI drivers should get installed when you install the DJI Assistant. And if they don't, I think only DJI can really help you with that. Like, I'm just going to search here real quick. Like, I'm sure you've done this, but I'm going to search for DJI Assistant Windows 11. DJI Assistant Consumer Drones. This is why I haven't upgraded to Windows 11, because I just don't want to deal with that nonsense. Release notes. I mean, why wouldn't the drivers work on Windows 11? It's the same freaking driver infrastructure, isn't it? It doesn't say anything about supported operating systems or anything.
I have no issue updating DJI on Windows 11. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Okay. You have Windows 11, Blunty?
Yeah.
He says it won't. He says the drivers won't install.
I have no problem.
You got some kind of like virus scanner or something that you need to disable, Rich. I don't know the answer for you, but it shouldn't be any problem installing DJI Assistant on Windows. Why are you installing the drivers? Just install DJI Assistant 2 Consumer Drones Edition. That's my advice. Just install this. Consumer Drones Edition, DJI Assistant 2. The drivers should all get installed and it should just work. Good luck with that. Continuing to read the Super Chats. Geez, we've got a ton of Super Chats. Thank you guys for your generosity. We've been going since like 20 after, and we'll be getting back to the regular chat as soon as I get through the Super Chats. Well, I got to try harder to get through the Super Chats. Thank you, SSLCM56, for a $5 super chat. If I buy a Tiny Hawk 2 Freestyle, Radio Master Boxer, and a pair of 800D goggles, what do I have to do to get them to work? Tiny Hawk 2 Freestyle, does that come with Express LRS? I doubt that it does.
Could be a 4-in-1 Boxer, though, right?
That's possible. He says, what do I have to do to get them to work on ELRS? So I'm going to assume that you're buying the ELRS version of the Boxer, not the 4-in-1. Assuming that you have the ELRS version of the Boxer, what I recommend you do is look up a video for how to install a Crossfire receiver. An Express LRS receiver will drop in exactly like a Crossfire receiver. The wiring is the same. So follow this guide to solder in your Express LRS receiver, and then you have to bind the Express LRS receiver. And what I suggest is this video, the easiest way to flash and bind Express LRS. And that'll show you how to get them bound up. Parkour Guy. Follow-up to the last super chat. Props and motors are good. Blunty, what's going on with Parkour Guy? He's left a lot of messages. I'm not really sure I'm following them all. Parkour Guy. Oh, I see. Parkour Guy. No, it's not you, Parkour Guy. It's somebody else I was thinking of. I just installed an ELRS receiver to my Easy Pilot Pro. It binds and I get the right stick inputs. Okay, we got that one. Props and motors are good. Okay, Parkour Guy, you say props and motors are good. Maybe they are. But I'm going to tell you, I can't tell you how many times I have had this conversation with someone where they swear to me that they checked the props in the motor direction, and it turns out after a week of back and forth that they didn't. And what I mean by that is, here's a really common mistake. In your head, you know that this quadcopter is set up for props out rotation. So you check the motors and props and you go, yep, props out. But what you don't realize is that in the flight controller, accidentally, it has been set to props in rotation. How did it happen? I have no idea. But like, I can't tell you how many times this has happened. After a week of arguing with somebody and trying to help them, they go, oh, I looked in the flight controller. It turns out it was set to props in. I don't know how that happened. And at no time in that whole week of trying to help them and arguing with them Did they ever actually go look to see if the flight controller was set to props out? They just assumed. So I guess what I'm saying is, and I don't want to assume, like, maybe you've checked it correctly. But just based on the back and forth here, I'm not going to make that assumption because of how common it is for people to overlook this stuff. So you say props and motors are good. And what I say is, does that mean that you actually went and looked at the motors tab, at the diagram, to see what direction the flight controller thinks the motors should be going? Or did you just look at it and go, yeah, that's props out, looks like I thought it should be, etc. I always feel bad saying that because, like, if I'm actually talking to, like, the one person in the world who checked it correctly, then they're like, Bardwell, oh, you think I'm an idiot. No, I don't think you're an idiot. I think everyone's an idiot. I'm joking. Please take that in the spirit it was intended. Bardwell's such an asshole. He said everyone's an idiot. I thought he was hopeful. Continuing. We got this Odinata question already. We'll take that out of the chat. DJ Raw FPV says, hey JB, I already have a DJI FPV drone. Thank you for $5, DJI Raw. If I buy another drone with a DJI run cam, will it link with a DJI receiver? You bought the DJI FPV drone. That means you have the gray controller. Blunty, help me. He has the gray controller, right? DJI FPV drone? Oh no, was Blunty gone again?
So I believe, yes, I believe that's the case. I wasn't just doing three other things. Yep. So DJI FPV drone gray controller is correct. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so if you have the gray controller, then you can only bind the gray controller to the RunCam link if you also are using Goggles 2 or Integra. The gray controller will not bind to the RunCam link if the RunCam link is bound to the V2 goggles. Which, if you got the DJI FPV drone, then you probably have the V2 goggles. So the answer to your question is probably no. DJI kind of screwed you over. So. Body by FPV says, Bardwell kind of did this to me. And it turns out I needed it because, yeah, one of my effing motors was backwards. I feel bad because, like, I had one guy get really mad at me. He was like, you were really insulting and condescending. I don't know what his exact words were. But he was like, you were really insulting and condescending to me. And you talked to me like I was an idiot. And I was like, I don't take it personally. Everyone who calls tech support gets funneled into the same... if you ever worked tech support, you would know that you don't know whether the person you're talking to is a complete noob or a really experienced user. So you treat everyone like a complete noob or a complete idiot, as it were. And you check, because if you make an assumption in step 1, you're going to get to step 10 and find out you wasted all that time because the assumption you made in step 1 was false. And so you try to make no assumptions, including assuming what the user does or does not know. And it means that a user who is intelligent and knows what they're doing is going to have to kind of roll their eyes while you go through the... But you have to understand that's just how it is.
Also, I believe it's a rule of troubleshooting that if you do skip something, that'll be it.
Absolutely.
It seems like that's always the case. If you're like, well, it can't be that, so let's just go past that. And then you get there 10, 15, an hour later, and you're like, well, turns out that was it.
Yep. Yeah, and people email me and they think that they're having a polite conversation with the person they watch on screen, and they don't realize that they are being funneled into a troubleshooting flowchart. Because when you get 60 to 100 emails a day, you can't have a deep and personal individualized conversation with every single one of those people. But you still want to help them. And so I just like, okay, receiver not working. Canned response is, show me picture of wiring, show me ports tab, show me receiver tab, right? And yeah, we're just going to go through that, and I'm going to try to help you. Ice Cream Hoagie, thank you for a $2 super chat. What Fat Shark micro quad is the quietest but still fun? Is FS Fat Shark I assume it's fat shark. Is he talking about walk snail? I would assume he's talking about walk snail.
Or fly sky? But I don't know.
Ice cream hoagie, you need to tell us what FS means. Otherwise, we can't answer your question. Freestyle? Crafted Quad says freestyle. That actually makes the most sense. What freestyle micro quad is the quietest but still fun? A 1S 3-inch toothpick is the answer to that question. If you disagree, you are wrong. I love doing that just to piss people off. People who love the Odonata are going to jump up and say, you need a little quad like the Odonata or the FlySky 1.6 inch or the Babito. Are those quieter than a 3-inch toothpick, though? That's the question. Are they quieter than a 3-inch toothpick? I don't know, but I suspect that the larger 3-inch props are going to be quieter because in general, bigger, slower props are quieter. But then the bigger, heavier quad is going to be louder. I would argue that a 1.6 inch is not quite as quiet as a 3-inch toothpick. So if you care the absolute most about noise, then a 3-inch 1S toothpick like a baby tooth. You're going to have to build it yourself, though. That's the thing. If you want something just to buy off the shelf, get something like, do you think, again, chat, I'm looking at you. Is a 2-inch going to be quieter than a 1.6? Don't know about that. That's a tougher one. So, Crux 3, the Happy Model Crux 3 would be an off-the-shelf choice. Happy Model Crux 3. So if you want to, okay, great. The collective consciousness has settled on an answer. I knew we'd get there. And I get to keep all the super chat money. Isn't that nice? So Happy Model Crux 3.5? Is the Crux 3.5? No, the Crux 3, not the Crux 3.5. Crux 3 is a better choice. Excuse me. Happy Model Crux 3. This is the off-the-shelf one you should get. Happy Model Crux 3. This is a fun little ripper. Very, very quiet on bi-blades. This is like pretty much the right choice. There you go. And I think it's going to be quieter than almost anything else you get. And going to have plenty of acro performance. Buy an extra frame, says Machine Head, if you buy the Crux 3. Fair enough. Chris Baca asks, is there a way to recover a corrupted Fat Shark DVR that was powered down before stopping the recording? Yes, Chris. This is not a sponsored post. This is what I use. Especially ever since I started working with digital video transmitters, I don't know why it is. It seems like they corrupt files so much, and I don't know why. Hello? Did I start this app? Hello? I really think I started this app, but there it is. Here it comes. So the app is Wondershare Recover It. Wondershare Recover It. I'm going to try, I don't know, put the about page up. I should put the web page up. I'm bringing up the app to show you guys that this is one, like I use this on a daily basis. I have a problem. I run into this problem on the DJI, like I'll have an SD card in my DJI goggles that the DJI goggles can read, but as soon as I put it in the computer, it says, it acts like the disk isn't even formatted, and I have no effing idea why. And Wondershare Recover It has saved me so many times. In addition, I'm sorry, hang on, my bad. Wondershare Recover It gets lost files off your SD card. That's not what you're asking for. I'm very sorry. You want Repair It. Wondershare Repair It repairs broken video files. They're not cheap, but if you, like, they've saved my ass so many times. Yeah, Wondershare Video Repair. It can repair those files. That guy Blue, thank you for a $5 super chat. After a hard landing and a light crash, GPS won't find any sats. Should I replace the flight controller? I mean, that's a tough one. I mean, check the wiring. Is the GPS lit up? I would, it's tough. I that wouldn't be my first guess. My first guess would be like your GPS unit's messed up. I would replace the GPS first, frankly. If only because the GPS is going to be $20 to replace, the flight control is going to be $70 and going to be a lot of wiring and shit. Philip Kunes asks, is there a 5-inch bind and fly for under 200 euros and under 250 grams? No. 5-inch under 250 grams, extremely specialized, extremely rare. If you want to be under 250 grams, you want to be in the 3.5 to 3-inch or smaller category. If you want to build a 5-inch bind and fly under 250 grams, that's a tall order. The oh my god, frickin', what the frick is it called? 250, thank you. The oh my god 250 fits the bill. It's not going to be 200 euros to build. No way. The analog version, I think you could probably get in for $350. I'm just guessing. This is but you want to be aware that building a 5-inch under 250 grams, you're making a lot of compromises in terms of durability. And I would encourage you to rethink that, and unless you just absolutely want a 5-inch, I think most people are going to get better served by like a 3.5-inch if they need to stay under 250 grams. Let's go to fpvknowitall.com and search for sub 250 grams. Are any of these around 200 euros? That's the baby hawk. We want an analog. Do they not have the analog version anymore? It's hard to find the analog version. How much is the Smart 3.5 analog? I don't know, because GetFPV's website is slow as shit. $239. So I would steer you this direction. It's not under 200 euros, but I think you're going to struggle to get there. What about... Oh, Baby Ape 2. Oh, there you go. All right, so if you're willing to go down this small, the Baby Ape 2 is only $100 and is pretty solid. Crux 3.5. Is that under $200, Machine Head? Not on it. I don't look on Amazon. The price will be wacky. Oh, that's solid. Happy Model Crux 3.5. $142. Solid choice. Yeah, I would steer you away from 5-inch if sub 250 is your goal. That's my opinion. Stellar FPV. Thank you for a $10 super chat. Can you take a look at XOXL Soxal FPV's Mini 1S Stingray Y4? Where is that? I'm going to put that exact text into the chat and see what we come up with. Stingray Y4. What is a Y4? What do we got here? Oh, he's tiny. He's a tiny boy. Have we got any... Oh, yeah, here we go. What do we got? Oh, there we go. That's what we're looking for. Okay, so it's a Y4. It's small as shit. That is really... So I got some custom... Looks like it's ABS maybe, or carbon nylon parts. Damn. That is he talking? No, it's music. Is he talking? All right, but I don't want to let the music play. Oh, and it's not in English. Okay, hang on. We could do this. Auto translate to what? Why would you do this, YouTube? You know what language I want. Also, fuck alphabetical order. English should be on the top. That's right, I said it. That's a really cool little build.
You know we can't see the screen, right? I just want to make sure.
What are you talking about?
Like, it looked like you're looking at a thing on the computer, but I didn't know if you wanted to show us that.
No, I'm showing the video.
Right, but we can't see that. Or Oh, is that only me that can't see that?
I think it's only you, Blenty. Is something wrong with
Normally
your
you show
feed?
me the feed, not the...
Are you not getting the feed?
I can see you, not the feed.
Oh.
Or the feed is showing you.
Oh, shit. Have you seen the screen at all through this whole thing?
No.
Oh, my God. Oh, I had a... That's weird. And then when I started this morning, I was on screen and I was like, oh, we're good to go. I'm sorry, Blenty. You haven't been looking at my feed this whole time.
No problem.
All right.
We work with
you.
what we got.
And you work with me. Let me let me ask you this, Blenty. If I was one of your employees at the cannabis grow and we translated my performance in this job, I don't just mean like in its totality over to my performance as one of your employees, how many times would we have had a conversation about it?
A few times a conversation, but you definitely still be... The fact that you're even trying and can recognize that you're making mistakes puts you in at least the top 50%.
Okay, fair. I feel like that's fair. I said in its totality because I was hoping you would give me some credit for like being one of the biggest YouTube channels in FPV. Like on some level, I should get credit for that. So the fact that, like, I was hoping you would be like, well, you know, you screw up every now and then, but you're a real rock star most of the time. I don't know. I
see.
That's cool though. I'll take what I can get. Oh my goodness. What's going on the screen? That's a cute little... Here's the thing though. And this is a cool quadcopter. Why is it better than like just an X geometry? He says that I've flown a Y4 before. And people want a Y4 to be like a tricopter, but it isn't, because it isn't. And it seems like an X4 is going to give you better yaw authority. Not yaw authority. An X4 is going to give you better roll authority because you've got your roll axis has two motors working instead of just one. And it's going to give you slightly more efficiency because you don't have two coaxial motors. I really would like to see a version of this that is a symmetrical X4. This is cute and cool, but I suspect a symmetrical X4 would fly better. And I wish he would make one. I think when he says that the Y4 flies better, some argument could be made that the X4 is such a ridiculous dead cat, and that's part of the problem. So that's what I would say. This is cool. Blunty, we should put this on the news. I think this is like cool enough to be newsworthy, although I'm not going to be in charge of that for the next couple weeks, so you'll decide for yourself. But I wish that XOXO or Soxol or however you say the name would make a proper X4 geometry instead of a Y4. Anyway. Thank you for pointing that out, though. It was very cool to learn about that. Okay, we got that from Truth the Way I See It. That guy Blue, can you recommend an FC with barometer and 6 motor outputs? Sure. I mean, there's a ton of them. But why not? Why not? Why not the JBF7? My flight controller. Barometer, yes. 8 motor outputs, yes. $84, okay, shut up. JBF7, sure. We got to look at the... Does the SpeedyBF 405 have 8 motor outputs and a barometer? I mean, it probably... Shut up! How is it $35? Are you joking? It's gotten cheaper. This used to be 40-ish. What the frick? What the frick? Does it have 6 motor outputs? I mean, got it. Sure, it must, right? Yeah, motor 6, motor 7, motor 8, motor 5. Does it have a barometer? I mean, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, barometer. Okay. So, like, for sure, like, get the JBF7, right? It's a good flight controller, but geez, for $35, why wouldn't you buy the SpeedyBF 405? Well, there you go. It's a solid flight controller for the money. Can you bind the Radio Master Zorro to the Tiny Hawk 2? You can bind the 4-in-1 Radio Master Zorro to a Tiny Hawk 2 using D8 mode. The Tiny Hawk comes with a D8 receiver by default. Dad by affiliation, thank you for a 50 Norwegian kroner. We are almost caught up on the super chats. This has been a doozy. You guys have been extremely generous, and I thank you very much, although the people who are waiting to get their questions answered in the regular chat are resentful. I got my brand new Mobula 8 analog with the Cadix Ant. The OSD is the right way, but the FPV image is upside down. Can I rotate it somehow? I'm sorry. That means the... Blunty, does that mean... That means the camera is installed the right way up, but the sensor is upside... What does that mean, Blunty? What does that mean? That means the camera is flipping the image. I can't think... There's no way if you mounted the camera upside down, the OSD would be upside down. If somehow the sensor was installed upside down in the camera, I think the OSD would still be upside down. I'm not sure.
If you go in and change the flip in software, does that flip the OSD too?
I'm not convinced that the flip does not. The flip would not. So go into the Does the Cadix Ant even have a freaking joystick? Cadix.
Oh, it's an analog.
Ant. It's an analog. Yeah.
I missed that part.
It's the Cadix Ant. Surely it has okay, so it does have a menu. I can see the plug for the joystick. Okay, so you need to plug in to this 2-pin plug on the right here, or on the on the right. I hope that the camera came with a joystick. It does. The camera comes with a joystick. You need to go into the menu and see if there's an option to flip the screen. I don't see a reference to that in this page, so I don't know. Not every camera can flip.
Dad by affiliation in the chat says joystick settings don't have an image flip.
Okay. Also, people are telling me the Mob 8 comes with camera control enabled, so you don't need the joystick. But it doesn't matter, because if it doesn't have an image flip, what that means is the camera has the sensor installed upside down. I think the sensor is upside down. Dad by affiliation, some cameras have two menus, one accessible by clicking the center and one accessible by pressing the up key. Have you checked both menus? I can't find a reference whether it has vertical flip in the menu. Oh. Look, here's the exact same problem. Depending on how the plugs in the camera, flip the camera upside down. No. I think the sensor may be upside down. Body by FPV says, I've got that camera. I'm going to check it out. Okay. Dad by affiliation, we will come back to this after Body by FPV looks into it. Okay. Tom Weich, thank you for a $10 super chat. I had a crash where the FC and ESC plug burned on the FC end. New build with only ESC carried forward. Motors are getting burning hot, just idling and sound rough. Is the ESC bad? I mean, here's how to tell if the ESC is bad. Tom Weich. Use the motors tab sliders instead of arming. When you use the motors tab sliders, the flight controller, the gyro and the filters and the PIDs are completely removed from the equation. And if the motors are super hot when using the motors tab sliders, that is a mechanical problem, like the ESC is damaged or your motor screws are too long and are touching the windings. It is not related to the flight controller itself, though. Ice Cream Hoagie asked with a $5 super chat. Ice Cream Hoagie asks, what's the quietest but still fun freestyle micro format? I think we kind of answered that question. It's 3-inch toothpick, in my opinion. Quietest but still fun. If you really want to do like proximity bashing, like jungle gym bashing or indoor flying, there's an argument to be made that you're better off with something with prop guards because it'll take the hits better. Whereas a 3-inch toothpick, you're smacking those props around. That's going to be way more likely to break the motors because of the leverage on the motor, and the props are going to break. So it's arguable that some people would prefer prop guards even though they fly worse. So maybe like a 75 millimeter, somebody would say that's the right choice. But I would say for freestyle, for all except like really tight proximity where you're going to be bouncing off the obstacles, probably 3-inch toothpick is the choice. Meteor 75 Pro, exactly, Machine Head, something like that. Sod says, thanks for all the videos, JB. I got me incensed with flying, and thank you for a $10 super chat, Sod. What's a good radio for a beginner on PS5 Sim? PS5 simulator... What sim is he talking about? Is it DRL? There is a sim that works with regular controllers on PS5, isn't there? I think there is. I would say any of the radios, if the PS5 can take generic HID controllers, generic joysticks, then any of the controllers at my website, wrong button. Any of the controllers at my website on the controllers and receivers page should be usable because they all can act as a sim joystick. I think that for somebody coming from a video game controller, the Radio Master Zorro is a solid choice because it looks and feels a lot more like a video game controller. DJI Raw says, I sent a photo on feedback. Is it the right setup for my DJI Gray receiver? Where is that photo? DJI Raw, where is that photo? Is DJI Raw on the Discord? Is there an email from DJI Raw? I'm gonna check DJI Raw. I'm not sure where you sent me that photo though. I don't see that photo, DJI Raw. I'm not sure where you sent it. Stevetrix, glad you're liking the DeWalt driver. I'm a big fan of it myself. DJI Raw, I think you better just email me, dude. I'm not sure where this photo is that you're talking about. Sorry about that. Should I put Blue Jay on my Tiny Hawk 2? Thank you, Truth the Way I See It, for another $2. No. Probably not. I would just fly it as it is. Some ESCs, if you put Blue Jay on them, they don't like it and they brick. Not common. I think the Tiny Hawk 2 flies pretty good with Emax's settings. If you decide you want to... It's like... I like to say that there's a difference between a daily driver and a project car. If this is your daily driver quad, just fly it as Emax delivered it. It's pretty good. If you decide to make it a project and you're going to try to make it fly better, then put Blue Jay on it and start tuning it. But be aware that there's a chance you'll like F it up and not be able to fly it anymore. Body by FPV confirms there is no image flip on the Caddx Ant. If your Caddx Ant is upside down, I think you have to open the camera up and flip the sensor. Or get a new camera. Oh my God, I think we're caught up on Super Chats. I think we are caught up on Super Chats. We are. Whew. Parkour guy we got. Cathode we got. I'm clearing Super Chats, Blunty. We're going to pause the Super Chats here. We will get back to Super Chats before the end of the stream. We've just spent over an hour reading Super Chats, and that is going to do it for that. Machine Head says, how is he going to flip the sensor? I don't know. Like on some cameras, you can just open the back of the camera up and flip the sensor around. Flip the board around. Is that not, I mean, maybe that's not possible in the Caddx Ant. Maybe the sensor was literally installed on the board upside down. If that's the case, I don't think you can fix it. Like, you could flip the camera upside down, but then your OSD is upside down. Isn't it? And your OSD will be upside down. That's no good. I would try to send it back. Don't fuck around with it anymore. Send it back. All right. All right. It's time to take questions. What do you mean the OSD won't be upside down? If you have a camera and you flip the whole camera upside down, the OSD will turn upside down too. Right?
Yes.
Yes, of course. Because the top of the screen is based on the signal sent from the camera. And so if the whole camera turns, yeah. But if the sensor is a separate device that you can flip just the sensor, then the OSD will not. There is no vertical flip in the menu. That's what I'm telling you. There is no vertical flip in the menu. Okay. Alrighty. Wear your goggles upside down. TronCat FPV with the real insights. That's why TronCat got 2 million views on his video. TronCat with 2 million views on his build video. And he didn't even... TronCat, you didn't even show the Betaflight setup. You got 2... I'm so mad at you. You got 2 million views on your build video. You didn't even show the Betaflight setup. You son of a bitch. How dare you be so successful? I talked about you with my therapist last week. I showed her my analytics, and I was like, I don't have a single video over 1 million views. That SOB puts out a build video. It was only 25 minutes long. Got 2 million views. Anyway, congratulations on your success. That's a good video. Ciati's here. Good to see you, Ciati. That's why you got so many views. Nobody wants that boring Betaflight nonsense. Yeah, fair enough. Mike Curran, Blunty, are you queuing up non-super chat questions? Oh, I see. I had the filter on. All right, Mike Curran, we're going to get this. This will be the last super chat before we do another batch later in the stream. I just bought a 3.5-inch grinder Reno. No clue what motor and props to go for. Any suggestions? Ciati! 3.5-inch grinder Reno. Best motor and props. Ciati is the man to answer this question. And although he is in the chat and he will answer it, he also has answered it here on my website, fpvknowitall.com, where we've got a sub 250 gram page that will answer that question. Motors, Ciati, what do you got? Really? 1404, is that the right choice? 1604, 1804. You should pick one of these motors. I personally would go towards like the bigger motors. I feel like 1404, unless you absolutely need to stay under 250 grams. On a 3.5-inch, I would probably skip the 1404s though. Ciati says 1604 minimum. Yeah. Looks like we got a little typo here. Whoops. Sorry about that. Yeah, get one of these motors from my website. Okay. Thank you, Ciati, for that. Okay, let's take some questions. Mo says, where's Bardwell's Week 9 IGAO submission? I guess I should submit since I sponsored this week. I've been super busy and did not submit. I didn't officially submit any of them, though. But but I've been watching them, and you guys are kicking ass. Jerry X4 says, what is with props? I got told more pitch equals more response, more control. That doesn't seem right. Higher pitch props will be less responsive. I guess they'll make more thrust, so maybe the quad will respond faster. Yeah, I don't know who told you that. More pitch equals more response, more control. Lower pitch props are generally more responsive, but make less thrust and are smoother. Okay. Let's see here. Andy D asks, are F3 flight controllers for the bin, or does someone still support it? Google Chrome forces me to remove older versions of Betaflight. Andy D, you definitely need to stop using the Google Chrome-based version of Betaflight Configurator. Download the actual executable file, the installer, and use the standalone version. The Google dropped support for third-party apps or something like that some years ago, and the Betaflight configurator on Chrome hasn't been updated in forever. Betaflight has not had support for F3 flight controllers since, I think, was it 3. What was the last version of Betaflight to support F3? It was somewhere around 3.2 or 3.5. I can't remember exactly when it got cut off. I think that probably do F3s run 357? 357 was okay, but you can't install 357. So what you would need to do is first download the old version of Betaflight that goes with 357, and then you would need to flash 357 to the flight controller and so forth. So I think that for most people, it's going to be a struggle to use an F3 in your flight controller and as your flight controller. And I would probably use an F4 if at all possible. If it was easy to flash and manage Betaflight 357, then they would be worth using. But it's a bit of a hoop to jump through to get that working.
Did you mention the 4.1 builds that Mark Spatz does?
I didn't. Yeah, the performance builds.
Yep.
I mean, I guess you could download those. Yeah, because you could flash them with the modern configurator, right?
Yes.
Where is that? Here we go. That's worth mentioning. That's fair. So you can go to theuavtech.com/performance-edition. And you can download Betaflight 4.1.1 either with or without RPM filtering. And there are videos here showing you how to flash them. I guess that's the way to keep an F3 alive today. And we'll put a link to that in the chat in case you need it. Leo Root wants to know, what's the action camera of choice today? Debating switching to a GoPro. Sadly, my last GoPro Hero 8s, when I went to Best Buy to get them replaced, Best Buy no longer has Hero 8s, and there are no longer, I can't even get them online. So this Best Buy gift card, which has 2 GoPro Hero 8s on it, I don't know what I'm going to spend it on. I have to say, if I was, so here's what's going to happen. I'm going to break my last few Hero 8s, and then I'm going to have no action cameras, and I have like $1,000 in gift cards from my insurance, and I'm going to pick another one and buy 4 of them, or whatever. I think the Hero 11 Mini would be the next place I would go because of the weight and size. I just find the weight of even a Hero 9, 10, 11. I find the weight of those to be really hard to stomach. And I'm not a prima donna about weight. No, about my quadcopter's weight, but I do like to have them be as light as reasonable. Joseph Dahari says, I've got some new Hero 8s. I'll trade you one for that gift card. Joseph, only if you also sell me insurance so that when I break them, you give me my money back. Which, of course, you wouldn't do. And frankly, I have no idea why Best Buy keeps giving me my money back, but they do. So I'm going to keep buying whatever I can get at Best Buy as long as they sell me insurance, because I can't conceive of how much money they've lost on me. And God, if you look at somebody like Cricket, who breaks Hero 10 like they're going out of style. So I think the 11 Mini, however, the 11 Mini have the 11 Minis issues where it like locks up in the middle of a flight or it locks up while it's charging. Have they fixed that? Because that scares me a little bit, and I'm not convinced that they've fixed it. I don't know. It would be great if in the next like month or so, GoPro releases a new like Hero 11 session. Baldman FPV, I will not be going to the Action 2. The exposure of the Action 2 makes me want to gouge my eyes out. Even if you accept the dynamic range as acceptable, the exposure algorithm, the way it lightens and darkens, is horrible. I would post video from the Caddx Vista DVR before I posted an Action 2. You have to lock the settings, Civatrix FPV says. Yeah, but then your exposure isn't correct. Then your exposure isn't correct when you go into a dark spot. It's underexposed or it's overexposed. So, even the 11 Mini is pretty heavy. I wish the 11 Mini had like a removable battery or some other way to make it lighter. Or I wish the mythical new Hero session would come out. Cole Anderson says the 11 Mini's never given me any issues, and I bought it from release. 11 Mini works fine, no lockup yet. Joseph Dahari says still an issue. See, that's why I'm hesitant to drop $1,000 or something on it, on 3 or 4 of them. Would you return the same day? The transition time is the worst on the Action 2. Throw an ND and overexpose a bit. I'm not happy with that solution. Sorry. I know if that works for you, great. I'm not happy with that. Didn't you order a Hero 11 Mini on stream, Gregory Hurst asks. I did. I still have that one. But it's not like, if I'm going to make an action camera my like sort of freestyle daily driver, then I'm going to buy 4 or 5 of them so I have them when I'm like doing a Rotor Riot shoot or something. And I'm going to have, that's going to be what case is on all of my quadcopters. So I have one 11 Mini just as kind of like a tester unit. I was going to review it, but I never got around to reviewing it. Troncat says, I've had one Hero 11 Mini lock up. The other one seems fine. Yikes. It would suck if you lost footage because it locked up. I'll tell you what. Let's see here. Jonas Dietrich wants to know, should a beginner use 6S or start with 4S? We debated this a little while back. 4S batteries are a fair whack cheaper. If money is a concern, you can certainly do okay with 4S, but most people feel that 6S has an advantage, and many people who start with 4S will end up upgrading to 6S before those batteries are used up. So if you have the money to buy batteries, you probably should start on 6S. But if you're very price sensitive, 4S is okay. That's my official answer right now. Akira Lyle wants to know, can you use a 6S 4000 mAh battery on a 5-inch Nazgul Evoke? They offer it for the F6, but not the 5-inch. No, I think that's too heavy. Akira Lyle, like, A rule of thumb is that the battery should be about half the dry weight of the quad. So if the quadcopter weighs 400 grams without the battery, then the battery should weigh about 200 grams. That's for a reasonably acrobatic performance. So you could go you could have a 300 gram battery on a 400 gram quad, but you're getting 6S4000, like what does that battery weigh? What does it weigh? Are you talking about the full sense lithium ion? I think you must be. What does it weigh? 400. Yeah, so that battery is nearly as heavy as the quad itself. That's pushing it. The other thing is that the 6-inch quadcopter is going to be a little more efficient. And so this battery is not going to potentially have the current capacity to deliver the number of amps that a 5-inch freestyle drone is going to want. That's the other reason they don't recommend it, is my guess. Night Owl wants to know, what's the right place for sourcing enamel wire for replacing an ELS antenna on a Whoop? Can I use motor windings? You can use motor windings. The difference is that motor windings will often have high temp enamel on them that you can't just burn off with a soldering iron. So you would need to use sandpaper or something to scrape the winding off, which is not really necessary to have high temp enamel for a receiver antenna. The other thing you can do is you can take... you could frankly use just any piece of wire. It doesn't have to be enamel wire. Any sort of piece of solid core wire of the correct length. You could just have a piece of shielded wire. Let's see here. Nahian Ahmed says, I'm going to Bangladesh from the USA. After traveling, I bought a DJI FPV drone here in the US. Airlines told me drones are not allowed, although it's not written anywhere in their website. What I would do, Nahian, is put the drone in your checked bag. Carry the batteries with you. Do not put the batteries in the checked bag. There is no prohibition against having a drone in your checked bag. You had a miscommunication. The batteries will go through security. They'll look at them. And frankly, if they're DJI batteries, they probably won't even look at them suspiciously. Like, mini quad batteries kind of look weird with wires and shit. Eric Asher says, check for battery size limits. There's no way that a DJI FPV drone battery isn't okay for carry-on. DJI wouldn't do that. Like, if we were talking about a giant quad, like, you know, like an S1000 or something, maybe. But DJI FPV drone, the batteries are going to be fine to carry on. Now, whether you will be able to bring the drone into Bangladesh, I can't tell you. But as far as the airline restrictions, put the aircraft itself in your checked bag. No one cares. The batteries are the only thing they care about. Carry the batteries with you. End of story. Eric Ashner, I think your recollection is wrong about batteries. Each individual battery has to be under 100 watt hours. You may have as many as you want, as long as each individual battery is under 100 watt hours. You may have up to 2 batteries of 150 watt hours, is my recollection. I can't, Steve Tricks, I can't say whether Bangladesh customs are going to care. That's not my area of expertise. We are getting close to the end of the stream. I'm going to clean out the last of the super chats. This is your last chance to sneak a super chat in before we're done. DJI Raw says, I emailed you the photo. Okay. DJI Raw has left several super chats. Let's see if we can get this photo from them. Here we go. Is this the right setup for my DJI Gray receiver? Okay, once again, you can bind this setup to either the V2 goggles or the goggles 2. However, the firmware that you use is different. If you bind to the V2 goggles, the firmware that you use will not bind to the gray V2 controller. If you change the firmware on the air unit to the firmware that binds to the goggles 2, then you can bind it to the gray controller. The answer to whether you can bind the gray controller to this quad depends on which goggles you have. Okay? That's how that works. Demir FPV says, I'm a medical doctor in Turkey and I have a very stressful job. Yeah. I would like to thank you for teaching me a great hobby. Do you like my TBS 15-minute edit? Blunty, thank you for 110 Turkish something, Turkish currency. Blunty, he sent it to the 15-minute edit of the TBS story. He edited it down for us. We had said on the news, this whole TBS story is interesting, but I don't want to listen to a 2-hour live stream just to find out, the little nuggets of what happened. And I was like, if somebody edits it down to 15 minutes, I'll listen to it. Well, he did.
I just want to point out, you said that before you left. You're not going to be on the next show.
What's that?
You kind of said that after you're not going to be on the next show, so you mean I have to do that, is what you said.
You don't have to do it.
Yeah.
It's your show.
I don't think a 15-minute edit helps anything, personally. That's not my problem with it. The problem is there's not an official documented press release that goes out.
Yeah, fair enough. I am still going to watch this because he took the time to edit it down. I'm going to try and watch it and get the gist of it. If he took the time to do it, I'm going to respect that. But you don't have to cover it. By the way, for those who don't know, I guess no one knows because I haven't told anybody yet, I will not be here this week. I'm going to Kentucky with Ken Herron and another YouTube creator who flies planes, and we are going to do some drone and plane related content. And so Tuesday, I will be with Ken Herron doing that. And Blunty we're going to do something different for the news instead of canceling the news. And I will not reveal the surprise, but there will be a surprise co-host. The surprise co-host may already have talked about this, in which case it's not a surprise. It's fine. And I will also be gone next weekend, this coming weekend. Is that right?
And the weekend after, yes.
Yes. What is it? It's Sunday. Oh my God. It's time to start freaking out. Oh my God. Yeah, time to start freaking out. This trip has been coming and I've been like heads down trying to get everything done before I go on this trip. And now it's going to come and I'm going to start freaking out. Okay. But Blunty and a surprise guest co-host are going to cover the news while I'm gone. But no one is going to cover my live stream slots. There will be no... If you just keep an eye on the live stream section of my channel when the next live stream comes, I think it's going to be...
August the 6th is what I have.
You say that.
If
but I'm
you
gonna
make that one.
I'm going to have been in a different time zone for 2 weeks. And then just get back. I don't even know when my flight comes in. I wouldn't count on August 6th. And then I'm leaving again on the 12th. And going to be gone. I actually perhaps think I might be gone until August 27th. The 6th is pretty iffy given time zone bullshit and everything. So you guys are going to have a long time to do the news. We're going to see how that goes. But it's definitely for a good cause. So, well, in my opinion, it is. Anyway, we got another super chat from The Truth the Way I See It. BL Helly or what else? I don't really understand that. Truth the Way I See It, it seems like you want to have a conversation, and I do appreciate all the super chats you're leaving because I like money, but it's the best way to have a conversation is to email me, jb@joshuabardwell.com, and we could talk about pretty much whatever you want to talk about. Thank you for your donation. And thank you for your donation. OD5, thank you for a €5 super chat. If I update all my DJI to the newest firmware, my DJI Black controller is useless, isn't it? Yes, that is correct. It is useless. You need to stop. So first of all, if you have the V2 goggles, just don't update your firmware. There's no need to update your firmware. Stop at firmware 0608 and life is fine. If you need to use the goggles 2 or the goggles Integra, then your Black controller is now useless. Sorry, DJI just made this decision and there's nothing you can do about it. Could a 3.5-inch quad carry a GoPro Hero 7? Philip Kunes, thank you for €249. I am guessing it would take off, but I don't think you would enjoy the way that it flew. Captain Vlad Tepes says, I'm considering switching from my X9D to a TX16S Max, but the internal module seems weak. Should I get the 4-in-1 and use an external module? So if you really feel like you need that 1-watt output, then yeah, that's the way to go. The 250 milliwatts is okay. If you make sure to use an EP1 receiver with an external antenna, and if you're not like running 1,000 hertz, you'll be okay with 250 milliwatts. But if you really want that 1 watt of power, then sure, get the external module. Lucas Justo, thank you for a $2 super chat. I want to buy a 100 to 200. Any quads in mind? Lucas, at that price point, I would be looking at something in the micro size factor. Unfortunately, with just a budget, like what kind of flying are you trying to do? Are you interested in racing, freestyle, cinematic? Like, what video system are you looking at? Do you want DJI? Do you want analog? I don't think that there is enough information there to make like a blanket recommendation for you. So. No, Mo, you're hurting me. You're hurting my soul. Mo. This is not okay. GoPro Hero 9 on the Emax Babyhawk 2 HD. Oh, he took the battery out, though. He's got the battery removed. That makes a big difference. I bet it's... I didn't say it wouldn't fly. I just said I don't think you would like how it flies. Oh, my God. Do we have sound? I don't want to get copyright, whatever, so there's music, so I'm not going to play the sound. Oh, my goodness gracious. Flight time, 1 minute. It's flying pretty smooth. It's stabilized. It's stabilized, so the smoothness is helped by the stabilization. I mean, he's not doing any crazy acro either. He's like just doing smooth cruising. Mo says it flies, but not good. Yeah, this is what you can expect from it. Oh, Mo, what are you doing? Don't fly over the street, Mo. Okay, you're flying over a parking lot. That is like it's a yellow card for flying over the parking lot, but you didn't fly over the street. If you fly over cars in the street, I'm going to have to shut down the stream. And like, is that you? That's you. Okay, you're good. That you didn't fly over the person. I'm wincing at you flying over this active street though, because like cars could be coming, and that makes me feel bad. I don't like that. Like currently there are no cars, but I saw cars. I feel better if you stayed over the construction area. It's okay. It's flying okay. Alrighty. Well, we are just about to the end of the stream. Aaron Ciotti is going to be streaming in just a minute, and he's posted the link to his stream here in the chat. Thank you, Plenty, for pinning that. Appreciate that. Ciotti is going to be doing trick tips and dialing in his dives, as well as a Q&A. Also, he's going to be presenting us with the swear word of the week. The swear word of the week. Ciotti searches the world for new ways to offend censors and curse out people he doesn't like. You know, I think we can all look forward to that. So his live stream link is getting posted now. We got one more super chat from Lucas Middleton. Thank you for $5. Two more super chats. You ever get so upset because you've been flying for so long, but it seems you've forgotten how to fly? Lucas Middleton, I don't feel like I backslide, but I do get frustrated at how my lack of progress. Of course, if I really cared about that, I would practice more. So I have a realistic take on it. Siati didn't think about a swear word of the week. Siati, I joke because Siati swears on his streams, and I don't swear as much. I don't swear very much on my streams, but if you meet me in real life, you might be surprised at how much I swear. So I think it's hilarious that Siati gets shit from his viewers because he swears too much, and I am seen as like squeaky clean, which is completely not true. So I make fun of Siati for swearing because of that. That's the joke. But in all seriousness, Siati, if you did start doing a swear word of the week, well, like you would have to like leave the English language and search for obscure swear words from other languages. If you did a swear word of the week, I think that would be hilarious, and you're welcome to take that. Square One, thank you for a €5 super chat. On 3-inch with DJI O3 and T-Motor mini stack, telemetry and OSD won't work. Checked MSP UART preset for Betaflight, telemetry on radio via crossfire arrows. Okay. Square One, this is the kind of question that, especially at the very end of a live stream, we don't have time to dig into. I would encourage you to email me, jb@joshuabardwell.com. And in fact, since you super chatted, I will give you special permission to email patrons@joshuabardwell.com, or is it patrons@fpvknowitall.com? It actually doesn't matter. That's my special email for patrons that gets sort of top priority, and so I want to respect the donation via the super chat and make sure I get back to you. Let's dig into it. It's going to require some back and forth though, and we won't be able to answer that right now. So that is going to do it for the stream. Thank you guys so much for coming out. Blunty, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No problem.
Thank you for talking to us about cannabis, too. You are such, and I mean this, you're such an interesting person. And as soon as, like, you ask a question about something you're interested in, you always have such deep and thoughtful answers. And I really wish people got to see that side of you more. And that's why I randomly throw you questions, just put you on the spot in the middle of a stream. So I hope it's okay.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. That's it, guys. We're going to wrap up. Have a great stream, Siati, and we will see you. I will see you. I don't know when I'll see you again. Goodbye. I'll see you at the end of August. I'm about to have a wild adventure, but there will still be videos posted to the channel. God damn it. I'm not letting that slide. Bye, everybody.